Welcome to our guide on growing juicy tomatoes. Whether you're a novice gardener or a seasoned pro, we'll share expert tips to help you cultivate the most flavorful and succulent tomatoes right in your own garden. If you've ever grown tomatoes and ended up with bland, mealy fruit, you're not alone. Growing truly juicy, flavorful tomatoes isn't just about planting and hoping for the best. It's a precise combination of soil preparation, strategic watering, the right feeding schedule, and understanding how the plant develops. If you want tomatoes that explode with flavor and juiciness, let's break down the lesser-known secrets that will transform your harvest. Every tomato variety has a different sugar-acid balance. For intense sweetness, go for sun gold or black cherry. If you want that deep, old-fashioned tomato taste, heirlooms like Brandywine or Paul Robeson are unbeatable. But here's what most gardeners don't realize. Soil conditions and climate play a huge role in flavor. A San Marzano grown in dry conditions with proper stress management will taste completely different from one grown in high humidity with excess water. If you live in a hot, humid area, avoid varieties prone to cracking and fungal issues like large beefsteaks. Instead, go for small fruited varieties like Juliet or Roma, which handle humidity well. If you're growing in a cooler climate, opt for short-season tomatoes like Stupus or Glacier to ensure ripening before fall. Rich soil isn't just about adding compost, it's about creating a biologically active environment. Tomatoes thrive when soil microbes break down organic matter and convert it into easily absorbable nutrients. The secret? Don't just dump compost into the soil. Instead, create a living soil by adding aged manure weeks before planting, mixing in mycorrhizal fungi, and covering it with mulch to encourage microbial activity. Another overlooked aspect is drainage. Tomatoes hate soggy roots, yet they need deep moisture. A solution? Prepare planting beds with a combination of well-rotted organic matter and biochar, which holds moisture while keeping the soil aerated. If you're growing in containers, use a mix of compost, coconut coir for aeration, and a bit of perlite to prevent compaction. You've probably heard that planting tomatoes deep encourages root growth. But most gardeners don't take full advantage of this method. Instead of just burying the stem, try trench planting. Lay the plant sideways in a shallow trench, leaving just the top leaves above the surface. The entire buried stem will develop roots, resulting in a much stronger plant with greater access to nutrients and water. Spacing is another crucial factor. Crowded plants trap humidity, leading to fungal problems. Indeterminate varieties need at least 3 feet of space, while determinate types can be placed 2 feet apart. If planting in rows, orient them north to south, so each plant gets even sunlight throughout the day. Watering inconsistencies are the main culprit behind cracked fruit, tough skins, and bland tomatoes. The best way to water? Forget daily watering. Instead, soak the soil deeply 2 to 3 times a week, ensuring moisture reaches at least 8 inches down. This forces roots to grow deeper, making them more drought-resistant and improving nutrient uptake. A little stress at the right time enhances flavor. In the weeks leading up to ripening, reduce watering slightly. This concentrates the sugars in the fruit, resulting in richer flavor. But timing is critical. Too much stress too early will cause blossom drop, so start reducing water only after fruit has set. Tomatoes are heavy feeders, but overfeeding leads to leafy growth at the expense of fruit. Start with a balanced fertilizer at planting, then switch to a low nitrogen, high phosphorus and potassium feed once flowers appear. If using organic amendments, try this schedule. At planting, mix bone meal worm castings and a handful of crushed eggshells into the soil to provide slow-release calcium. Once flowering begins, feed with liquid seaweed or fish emulsion every 2 weeks to boost fruit production. During ripening, add a bit of wood ash to supply extra potassium, which intensifies sweetness. Another overlooked trick is using compost tea. Soaking compost in water for 24 hours creates a microbe-rich liquid that boosts plant immunity and nutrient absorption. Apply as a foliar spray in the early morning for best results. Most gardeners either overprune or underprune, both of which reduce yields. Indeterminate tomatoes benefit from removing suckers, the small shoots that grow between the main stem and a branch. But don't remove them all at once. Too much pruning at once can cause sun scald. The best approach? Gradually remove lower suckers while allowing the upper plant to develop a strong canopy of leaves to protect fruit from sun damage. Supporting plants correctly is just as important. Forget flimsy tomato cages. These won't support the heavy growth of indeterminate varieties. Instead, use a Florida weave system with strong stakes, or train your vines onto a trellis to maximize airflow and sunlight exposure. Many gardeners struggle with flowers dropping off before setting fruit. The main reason? Poor pollination. While tomatoes are self-pollinating, they still require movement to transfer pollen. If you're growing in a greenhouse or an area with low bee activity, hand pollination is essential. Simply flick the flowers gently or use an electric toothbrush near the base of the blossoms to mimic the buzzing of bees. Companion planting with basil and marigolds attracts pollinators while repelling pests. Another trick? Avoid excessive nitrogen, which leads to lush foliage at the expense of flowers. Blossom end rot isn't caused by lack of calcium in the soil, but by inconsistent watering, which prevents calcium uptake. If you see black sunken spots at the bottom of your fruit, fix your watering schedule before adding calcium amendments. Fungal diseases like blight thrive in humid conditions. Improve airflow by spacing plants properly and avoid overhead watering. A simple prevention trick is spraying plants with a solution of baking soda and water, which alters the pH on leaf surfaces and makes it harder for fungi to spread. Pest control is best handled with companion planting and physical barriers. Aphids and whiteflies hate strong-smelling plants like onions and garlic. If infestations occur, blast them off with water or introduce beneficial insects like ladybugs. Tomatoes that ripen too quickly due to excessive heat often lose flavor. Shade them with lightweight row covers during heat waves to slow ripening and enhance sugar development. For stubborn green tomatoes at the end of the season, place them in a paper bag with a ripe banana. The ethylene gas from the banana accelerates ripening. If frost threatens, harvest unripe fruit and let them ripen indoors at room temperature. Growing tomatoes that burst with flavor isn't about luck, it's about understanding the plant's needs and making precise adjustments. By selecting the right variety, perfecting your soil, watering wisely, and managing stress at the right times, you'll produce tomatoes that are rich, juicy, and incredibly flavorful. If you found these tips helpful, subscribe to Botanical Bliss for more expert gardening content, and share this with fellow gardeners. Let's grow something amazing together.